this video, I want to take you briefly through some key elements of successful and effective academic writing and show you an example to illustrate that. So, one of the basic principles in academic writing that you should always keep in mind is that you absolutely must document ideas and facts presented in your text within text citation reference page at the end of the text. Unless you're writing a reflection piece on a personal experience where you're not drawing on any outside source, that's an exception. But most papers you will write in your career in higher education must document ideas and facts presented in your text. And this includes facts like if you're describing, for example, what HPV is, writing a paper about the HPV vaccine. I'm going to use that topic a lot throughout these modules. And you're defining what HPV is. You have to document where you're getting information from, even if you already know this since you've been educated in this area for a long time, or you've worked in the field and have just know the information. You still have to document where you get this information from, because you didn't just come up with it and invent it. So very, very important. Also keep in mind that the tone of your writing needs to be formal. So you're addressing a formal audience. So very little personal pronouns unless you're reflecting on personal experience. And think about it as a formal presentation rather than an informal journalistic piece. Make sure that each paragraph presents one main idea. You will hear me say this over and over again and show you examples of this. So we'll get to that in greater detail a little bit later. Make also sure that you have clear transitions between paragraphs. There is a good flow, right? Key element in very effective writing, not just academic writing for that matter, writing in general, but particularly academic writing. And also make sure that you have some sort of organizing statement in your paper that gives focus to your paper and gives your reader an idea what you're talking about. Some people talk about this as a thesis statement, right? But it doesn't have to be necessarily labeled that way. Any kind of main idea, research question, aspect, topic you want to investigate, make sure you include something like that in your paper. Again, support for your ideas and arguments must come from evidence-based practice, meaning these are texts that are based on research. You might be able to use some online sources from an organization about a definition, but when it comes to supporting whatever your argument is, either the main idea you're presenting, you have to support it with evidence-based practice. That's how we make sure in academic communication that our ideas are valid and they've been tested and they've gone through a process of rigorous peer review and people are just not making things up. Okay, so let me show you an example. This is what I often see in students writing. It's what I would call a first unedited draft. It's about a needle exchange program taken from the middle of a paper. The study of the needle exchange program in Vancouver, Canada illustrates that needle exchange programs alone do not reduce HIV infection rates. Citation, which is good. This is great. The author suggests that needle exchange programs are most effective when combined with other elements, for example, counseling and educational programs. This is really nice information, and the author has done a good job in citing or referencing where the information comes from, has put it in their own words. But as a reader, I have no idea why this information is presented to me. The author hasn't done anything to give me a clear overview or a sort of guiding statement why this information about this needle exchange program is relevant. So let me show you the edited draft. Data on needle exchange programs suggests that such programs can lead to a decrease in HIV infection rates in urban areas. However, these programs lead to even greater success when combined with additional programming. For example, a needle exchange program in Vancouver, Canada, blah, blah, blah. The sentence is familiar. You've seen this before. The author suggests that needle exchange programs are most effective when combined with other elements, for example, counseling and educational programs. Also familiar. A more recent study, Smith-Johnson reports impressive success rates of needle exchange programs when offered alongside counseling programs. So here you have what we call a topic sentence leading the reader into the topic of the paragraph, and then the support from two different studies to support that statement. That's a big difference from the previous paragraph, right? 2 sentences only, just description, but here there's an analytical focus in there. And in some of the subsequent videos, I will take you through some exercises and some examples how you can get here, because this doesn't happen in your first draft. Rarely does somebody sit down and write a paragraph like this. This goes through serious and consistent revising and editing.